we come to the closing session. I will first do an announcement. There is tomorrow an event called Portugal-Norway, Opportunities for Cooperation on Offshore Renewables. It starts at 9 o'clock and goes until 12:30. And it is on the Câmara de Comércio e Indústria Portuguesa, Rua Portas de Santo Antão, 89, here in Lisbon. So you are welcome to go. It's free, and it is basically an opportunity to hear some more presentations and also to exchange meetings with Portuguese and Norwegian companies. Before passing the floor to the Secretary of State of Energy, I want just to summarize what happened here today and also for you to know. I think this was an interesting meeting where we have seen, at least my understanding is that offshore renewable energy is a new coming industry. And my conclusion is that it doesn't come only from one side. There is a number of actions, a number of initiatives, a number of stakeholders that together are bringing this moving and hopefully to a successful future. And we have seen experience from different companies in Norway. I remember one presenting, and this is what I'm going to tell, is just to highlight that it is very difficult to plan everything and to know exactly how things will come out. And that mainly what is important is to create the conditions for the people who has the skills and also the will and intelligence to create new things. And I was remembering this company that today provides a service to access oil and gas platforms and offshore winds using ropes. And they were basically a company that used to do this in the early 80s, if I remember well, for the tourism, for climbing mountains. And suddenly they understood that there was an opportunity for on the oil and gas platforms, and also more recently on offshore wind. So this is, to me, it was quite interesting, because as I said, we cannot plan everything, but we need to understand we have to be open. We need to understand that we need to provide the right environment. And I expect that, or I hope that today it was one of these opportunities to create the right environment for people to meet, companies to meet, and understand that there is a chance for cooperation. It was also interesting later on, well, we had a small presentation of the Wave Energy Center. I hope that it was useful for you to know what we do. And then we had a meeting. The last one in particular was also very interesting, because we were discussing how the local communities can and must be involved in promoting or contributing to the development of, in this case, renewable energy. And an interesting presentation was from Orkney in Scotland, where the local community, and many times we look into local communities and the approach to these local communities many times to anticipate problems. But in this case it was far beyond that, because the local community itself were investing in the development, in this case of small wind turbines and bigger wind turbines. So the local community can also be a way to can be part of the solution. So this was also quite interesting to me to hear. But it's now time to close. So first of all, I want to thank you for being here. It's again a demonstration of the interest that the Portuguese government has in offshore renewable energy. So I think that you're present here as today with the Ministry of the Environment is very, very interesting for us, and I'm sure that we all look forward to hear what you have to say to us, to this still immature technology that, as you know, requires support to be able to, sometime later in the future, become a real industry with an impact in the economy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank you for inviting me to be here, closing the discussions on today's program. I'd like to first give a word of knowledge to the Mayor of Peniche, which is here, Mr. President, nice to see you here, and a compliment to all the participants in this seminar. Well, the theme is it's very much on the Portuguese government agenda, the so-called blue economy. As you know, both at different political levels, there has been an address to this area of our economy that is one that should be fostered, and where Portugal can benefit from investments and reinforcement of policy making in this area. Regarding energy, as you said, well, I'm having my first contact with the Wave Energy Center, which I would like to congratulate for the work they've been doing so far, and to also offer my support to help in developing further activities. But regarding the offshore energies themselves, I would like to present the current position of the Portuguese government and how we see the future of these technologies. We, as it was said previously, it is a sector of energy development that is it is currently on a phase of development. It's not at a commercial stage yet, so it needs further incentives, further support than normal energy technologies. That has to be acknowledged from the beginning. Otherwise, the projects are not feasible without that level of support today. We have technologies, as far as we know, in different stages of maturity. We have technologies that can be envisaged in a medium range of time at a level of pre-commercial activity, and we have others that are in a more research and development stage yet. So there's a heterogeneous panorama there with different stages of development, and that has to be taken into account when developing energy policy and support. We have been supporting with a high feed-in tariff some capacity that is being put into the grid in terms of wave energy and wind offshore energy, a small quantity of capacity, some megawatts of this type of energy. And we are now facing a stage where some projects want to reach a higher level of power, a higher level of capacity into the grid, and that has to be taken into account as well. Before talking into specific detail about these technologies and the policy implications that we are thinking of, I'd like to say that in Portugal in our economy, in our finances, and in our energy policy, we are facing constraints that have not been faced by governments in the past. As you know, we are a country under financial assistance by institutions that are foreign institutions that are helping our country, and we have signed a memorandum of understanding with certain conditions on economic policy, and that includes energy policy. And as you know, we have been supporting renewable energies in Portugal with quite enthusiasm, and we now have a very high presence of renewable energies in terms of electricity, mainly, not in other forms of renewable energies, but everything that can have a feed-in tariff has been very much successful in our country. So we have now a problem of costs. The level of support given to energy renewable producers is very high in terms of volume, and that generates every year an amount of support, of subsidies given to those projects that is, together with other factors, creating very high pressure on the tariff of electricity that consumers pay, namely families, residential consumers, and other companies that consume energy and that produce goods and compete at the European and worldwide level. This means that we have today a restriction, which is to eliminate the tariff imbalance that we have on the system and the level of costs that we have put upon Portuguese electricity consumers. And this is a very big restriction on our energy policy, and that has to be taken into account when devising all types of energy policy, namely when establishing new tariffs for feed-in tariffs for renewable energies. The government in late 2011 has frozen all energy feed-in tariffs in Portugal. So it was impossible for any type of renewable energy to have a feed-in tariff under the legislation that was published in late 2011. After that legislative step, there were some other measures that were taken by the government to reduce costs on a different arrays of cost factors that affect electricity, namely on subsidies given to other forms of energy, contracts that have higher than necessary returns or conditions. And so following a long period of negotiation with this type of economic agents that generate electricity, it was possible to unfrozen what was frozen in 2011. So in October this year, a decree law was published unfrozen the concept of feed-in tariff, and now it came into force 1 month after. So since 8th November this year, it is possible to say that it is now legal again to think about feed-in tariffs for renewables. This was only possible because the government has negotiated and has imposed strong cost reductions on other forms of electricity generation. This important step makes it possible to think about feed-in tariffs for this type of projects and other types of projects, and to think about the window of opportunity that is to give support again to this type of energy, like offshore wind energy that were mentioned here. But nothing is as easy as that, and not all problems are solved. This means that to continue to give support to all forms of renewable energies, we cannot afford right now, until we have a better picture on the tariff depth, to give such higher feed-in tariffs as we used to give on the past. So here we have to be inventive and to find alternative ways of constructing the feed-in tariff without the flux of support coming from the electricity consumers. And that's how new energy policy is going to be devised. We are going to have feed-in tariffs. We are going to unfroze, we already did it, the access to feed-in tariffs, but the level of feed-in tariff that is going to be paid by the electricity system and the electricity consumer is going to be downsized. The producer, the generator, can have access to the same level of feed-in tariff as long as the complement to that remuneration comes from other sources. And we are discussing with other members of our government and with our other responsibles for energy policy, for other areas of policy, the sources to complement this remuneration, although giving to the generator, to the promoter, the same view of a feed-in tariff. It can be done as long as part of the finance comes not from the consumer but from other sources. This has not been finalized yet, but discussions are ongoing, and we think that are perspectives for these projects to continue to exist, and the government continues to support them, but under this new paradigm, under this new economic equation. So this is my announcement, what I want to share with you. On one side, I'd like you to know that I have the enthusiasm for this type of projects, that I see it as exceptional opportunities for Portugal to be present and to be a part of the developments in this type of technologies. But I also must share with you the difficulties, the restrictions that we have. What will not happen under this government policy making is to assume compromises with projects that will bear on an unsustainable financial manner to the next generation of Portuguese consumers. We will not do that, because that is irresponsible, and we will only finance projects that we can keep the sustainable financing approach during the lifetime of the project. Thank you very much.